Hello, Ralph here, Insurance Agency Briefing. Today's topic, getting started, and specifically building your book of business. Now, my first day in the agency was okay. I sat at my desk. I didn't have a private office, but I didn't expect one. Second day in the agency, I learned a little about rating, how to rate homeowner policies, how to rate auto policies. Wasn't that difficult. It was all done by hand at that time. No computer rating really within the agency. By the third day, I really didn't have anything to do. And I knew as an insurance salesperson, as a producer, as we are called, my job was to generate business. And I wasn't going to generate business sitting in that agency. So by Thursday, I was out on the streets cold calling. I had done a little bit of cold calling in my previous job, so I knew at least how to knock on a door, how to give a card, how to make a little short presentation. Now, my cold calling was to businesses. Now, the agency at that time was located across town from where I lived, and so I would drive out about 30 to 35 minutes to the agency, and then the drive home, of course, was the same. But I would make calls all the way out, work in the agency for a while to what I had to do, and then make cold calls all the way back home in the evening. Now, my goal was to meet someone, get an expiration date. Most insurance policies run for 12 months. And so I wanted to find out who handles the insurance for your company and what month does it renew. And if I could get that information, that was a successful call. Every now and then I got to meet the insurance buyer, but that was rare. And so I kept a 3x5 index card system, and it was filed by month, January through December. And so as I built this index card system, I was creating opportunities for people that I could go back to talk to. Now today I'm wearing scarlet and gray, Buckeye colors, here in Central Ohio. I played golf for Ohio State, and I did not consider myself to be a recognizable athlete, but I did find, as I was out making calls, that people did recognize, at least some, recognized who I was, and it did open some doors. It did create some opportunities for me. I never played it up, never wanted to. By the same token, it's always nice to be recognized for something that you did. So throughout that first year, that was sort of the process, that I went through. When I would get the opportunity to go back around the expiration date, I was instructed by the agency principal to just get a copy of their policy. Bring in a copy of what they've got. We'll put together a quote for you to go out and present. Now, that's not really much of a way to sell, quite honestly, and that's not adding any value to the transaction, but it was all I had. I didn't know anything about the agency business. I had no training, and I knew nothing about insurance. So all I could do was quote against their current policy. So I would go back in. I would try to beat the price. Sometimes people would say, hey, thanks for your quote, young man, but we went back to our current supplier. They lowered their price, and we're going to stay. Okay, I get that. I offered you no other reason to change. But I did have enough people that first year that said yes to my proposals. In some cases, my price was lower. In other cases, I think they were just ready for a change. Maybe they liked me. Maybe their agent hadn't been around in a long time. Whatever the reason was, they said, you know what? I like what you're presenting. Let's go with it. And so throughout that first year, I did start to put some business on the books. I did get a very big break during that first year. As I was making calls in that diagonal pattern that I talked about, I made a lot of calls around the Columbus airport. Now, the area around the airport is a little rough. At least it was at that time. There were what we call crack houses. You don't hear that term anymore, at least not much, but they had crack houses there. So I'm making calls, and I was rating some business in that area, and I saw a sign that said Construction Inc. And so I thought, hey, construction company. Went to open the door, it was locked. A lot of doors were locked in that area. Knocked on the door, a woman opened the door, pried it about this far because there was a chain there, asked what I could do for her, and I just gave a brief explanation. She said, We're brand new to town. We don't know anybody except now you. We need an insurance agent. Will you write our insurance? And I did. Well, wouldn't you know, from that beginning, that company has grown over a 37-year period. They now build all over the United States. I've written their insurance the whole time. The owners have large homes, so they make wonderful personal lines accounts. It's thrown off all kinds of ancillary business, and it helped me learn the construction business and the bond industry. So a wonderful break. I've had multiple wonderful breaks along the way, but that was certainly one of them. Now, over the years, people have said to me, gosh, why didn't you use the telephone? I said, well, you know what? I just felt more comfortable in person. Besides, when I was out in the field, I could get a look at the business. I could get a look at the people and find out if they were the type of account that I wanted on my books. So even though I had no underwriting training, I did have a sense of what a good account looked like. A lot of other people built their business through networking. Honestly, never much of a networker. They would go to Kiwanis meetings, Rotary meetings, Chamber of Commerce meetings. They would create relationships with what are called centers of influence. This would be lawyers and bankers and CPAs and other people that would send them business. And you know what? Hats off to people that are able to do that. It just wasn't for me. I always felt like if I want to write an account, I'll go straight to it. I'll introduce myself, I'll make a telephone call, I'll write a letter, I'll do something that gets me directly in a straight line to that business, not waiting on anybody else or any other event to get me there. But as we wrap up this video, how you get out into the community where you want to be seen and where you want to meet clients, that's up to you. This is just my story, how I met people, how I developed these expiration dates, and how I began to build a book of business sort of my way. Thank you. Talk soon.